All right. How we doing today, guys? Sam here with you. It's what is today? Thursday, December 13th, and we're doing traditionals today. So as we do every day, right, we poll the members, let them decide here. So looks like it's a couple of FX pairs today. So I've got first up here. This is the euro to the Aussie dollar. Now this is a pair I trade often, and this perhaps will be a demonstration of why, particularly now with, as I try to encourage both members and if you're watching on YouTube, there's not a lot of opportunity in crypto. So why stay? Why keep beating your head against the wall there until there's some sparks there or something, we get a change of trend? There's always good trading in FX. And in fact, I would tell you my trading, 80% of the trading I do is in FX. I just traded it for a long time, comfortable with it. It's incredibly technical. Maybe this will be a good example. So here's, as I often remind you guys, when you're trading FX, I want to encourage you to think 4 hour and above. You'll just, the wave counts are much cleaner. You can see it. You're not subject to the noise, right? That just the constant back and forth, the latest report. You get these larger trends. So here, this is a daily chart. So we're going back to 2012. We go to just a beautiful impulsive structure. That's a 3-year trend. There you go. Shit, man, how am I going to stay with that for 3 years? Well, to some degree, the purpose here is just to demonstrate how incredibly technical this is in here. And when you're looking at the larger degrees here, when you're looking at daily, weekly, 3-day, I like as well, 4 hour, the counts they just jump out at you. So working from this low here, I'll go through it quickly. 1, 2, you get beautiful subdivision. So 1, 2, 3, I just couldn't be any cleaner. Every bit of it is technical as it could be. So this was, well, I'll show you here. So if this is the 2, there's the 3, right? So 38, right to the Vegas wave. Vegas wave came from Forex trading, right? That was designed. So ideally it was really originally designed for trading on the H1, but I find it equally as effective here. So we tag the Vegas wave and right to target. Okay, so we've got a completed impulse here. So 1, 2, completed impulse. Well, we know what we got there. So there's the 3. So now you look here and you go, okay, great. Okay, so we could look at it 2 ways. One, we could take, since they're kind of close together, we might look at the beginning of the count. Then that goes right here. Or also, of course, we'd always be looking for the length of the third here. So we're a little shy of the 618. So either one of these, I'd be checking both of them. So 618 holds it, right? So if you want to think of it that way, but it's just as valid to go from the dominant low to dominant high. Bangs the 50. Now, you don't get much difference here, both of them. So is this the front run? So if we went length of the 2 to the 3, front run on the 618, front run on the target, could very, very possibly be. Remember, we don't know what they're doing. This leaves a footprint so we can track it. So there's no way for us to know which one they used, right? So when in doubt, defer to the dominant, right? So here's the dominant 50 front run. Hard to say, but boy, is this just a beautiful Elliott count. Well, so if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 completed, well, what have we got? Just a 1 wave. So we go here now, just as we would with any. It wouldn't matter if I was looking at Litecoin on a 1-minute chart or the euro to the Aussie dollar on a monthly chart. It's done the same way every time. And if you don't, shit, guys, sorry. If you don't get that bit of it, that's the power of it. That's the advantage in doing it the same way every time. Not that you're always going to get, there's so much variety in terms of what the Elliott count may look like, but the approach has to be done the same way every time. So swing low, swing high. I've got a completed impulse. What am I looking for? I'm looking for 3 to correct that. So pretty, hard to argue with. Now this is, right, so you can make the case here. So you've got to dig that, if that's the B, or if that's correctly identified. The A looks pretty solid, but that's hard to argue that you could make a case there for we'd have a diagonal, but it doesn't fit with the remainder of the count. So that's one of those situations where you've got to go down to a smaller time frame. So likely you could either go A, B, C into an A, B, C, truncate the C, or you're going A, B. Yeah, let's go down. Let's look at it, right? So how would you deal with that if you were in the middle of it? It's just over here. Hang on, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let me get back over here, just to work through that, because that's kind of a common problem that you've got here. So how do you deal with that? Because at first glance you want to go, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got a leading diagonal, which would have been easy to think that, right? So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not implying that FX trading is easy or easier. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you come in here with this technical approach that we teach here, I think you'll find that the opportunities will present themselves relatively cleanly and clearly. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the count wrong. Shit, I get the count wrong all the time, right? Because you don't know. How do you know here? How do you know? Looks like, so how, you could make the case that you had, this isn't gorgeous here, but this coming down, you could certainly get 5 out of that. So it looks like you've got some sort of flat here, and then you're finishing with a C. Then again, how would you know? Well, you wouldn't know. It's only now going back in hindsight. So you look here and you say, well, okay, couldn't have been an A wave here or a 1 wave because of what we can see now that follows. So can we look at that and go, maybe I diagnosed this incorrectly, and what I actually have here is A, B, A, B, C. All right, so if we work through that subdivision, I don't want to spend too much time here because this is what you have to do. Either it's here, A, B, C into that. Looks like that actually may play better, so that you have your A wave here. So you have the A here. They're both difficult. Look here. So this looks like it's 5 coming down, right? You got the same problem here. It looks like another 5 coming down. So how are you going to count it? Well, it looks like you'd have to go A, B, C. Right? Same problem. It's not that it's easy, and there aren't going to be places where you're not dealing with this same problem, because this looks like it could have been 5. This looks like it could have been a leading diagonal down. So what do you do with it? Well, you've got to take it this way. So you'd have to go, oh, okay, well, I can see in the benefit of hindsight that I've got something along this line. Something corrective. Could be here. Could be we do it that way. This more likely that there's your 50. So this is a common problem we got to do. So there's the 50, right? Front run. How do we know? We don't know. So this not great. Doesn't leave a good footprint, and we come back up. We rip up to the other side. So you're constantly adjusting these. Note here. We go to this. Look what happens here. Golden zone. Reaction too strong. Up we go. So this cannot be as you're counting it. You can't have. Since we get a new high here, it doesn't work. So you got to pull out again and say, all right, well, okay, where are we in the count? Where are we? Well, let's go back to my daily so I don't lose my place here. All right, so I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm just saying that it's technical. How about we say it that way? So coming off of this, having had to reconcile that this can be labeled as an ABC, this can be labeled as a 1, 2. Looks like we come down here. So let me clean some of this up here just to declutter. A. Got to do A, B, C into the B, and excuse me, it looks like we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're overlapping the 1, so thus the A, B, C of the third. Looks like we get the 4 here, so we finish with the little, you can barely dig it out of there, but it's there, so we can finish with a diagonal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, down we come. So now, granted, right, it's always easier. Guys, I'm aware that this is easy to do in hindsight. Now we can qualify, understand it. Oh, that looked like a 5. That looked like a 5. That looked like a 5. Yeah, but can we get a count here that resolves here that gives us something we can work with? So going back through the history, that's just developing your skills. That's why it's worth doing it. Because you could just say, oh, fuck that. Let's just go over here and let's just start. All that matters is what's happening here. But then you lose the context of where you are in the larger count. So now, knowing now that there's a strong probability that I've got a 2 here, I'm looking for, you can make the case here that with that established, you'll only be on the buy side. Because the potential here is now that this is just, well, so not getting ahead of myself, but if this is a 2, well, this can't be our 3. So what does that leave? Likely that's the 1 wave of the third wave. If we're going to go all the way, if this is going to play out and we're going to get a 1, 2, 3, well, 3 is way the heck up here. We know this will be close. So, it could take 3 years to get there. Right? So you got to decide, well, could I stay with something? So if this goes 1, 2, and we go into that 3, well, look at the length of time of the 1. 2012 to 2015. That's a 3-year 1. 2015, when do we bottom down here? That's a 2-year 2. Right? Could easily be a 3-year 3. But think about the potential there, right? If this is 1, 2, if this is 1, which the case I'm going to make here, I think we've got 1 completed, and we're going 2, could you live with that, right? I mean, what's the risk reward there? 30 to 1. Right? If right now we're hypothetical here. If we come down here, we get an opportunity, we stay with an internal retracement. We're looking for the 3rd up here. Could you stay with it? Right? You don't have to stay with it, but just there's the opportunity staring you right in the face, right? So could you stay with that for 2-3 years? Huh? That's no two individuals are going to answer that the same way. I'm not saying that's easy to do. I'm just showing you that as it was taught to me. Most of the money made in Forex happens when you enter the trade, you get yourself positioned like this here, right? Just perfect. Oh, we held the 618, so that's a good spot. Where's the highest probability zone for a wave 2? Well, right between the 50 and the 618. What do? We damn near split the difference. Up we go. So, I mean, to get yourself positioned, here's the secret in Forex. You want to get yourself positioned at one of these pivots. Now, you could have easily been here at the 50 thinking, oh, I got it. I got myself at the turn. Well, you got stopped out, right? So we come down here. Would you know? Is there anything to help you here? Well, you're pinned down here, right? So here we are down here. Here's the 4. We've got divergence all the way down. Here's the RSI, just hammered. Down here, so we're at, what did we get to? 21 on the RSI. As this starts to go, so, you say, I missed that. I didn't see it. Well, the 2 is waiting for you right there. So you missed that one. How about the 2? Let me clean this up here. So if this is 1, 2, well, all right, so just before we move away from it, of course, right, so if you've got a 3, 4, and a 5, what else could you have used? So you look here and you think, so we've got a corner pocket, not golden because it's not in the golden zone, but you still have your 80% probability. Boop, right? There it is, right? Best odds in trading. I say it every time I get the opportunity. How many of you are trading median lines, right? There is no trade you can apply anywhere in any market with higher odds. How about I say it that way? This is best odds right there. There it is. Right? You pull up anything. Pull up. Yesterday I did this randomly. I thought of the first FX pair I could think of for whatever reason. Canadian dollar came to mind. Randomly picked up a time frame, 3 minutes. First thing I pulled up. Right? It's just a straight algo play. It's always there, guys. It's always right. But then put a pitchfork on it. All the better. So 1, 2. Well, we break out of the pitchfork. So do we have a potential? So think of this. Right? This potentially. All right, so now we've just got that. All right, so now note here. So from this pivot here, so we set up another corner pocket. Right, look at that. Right, again, this is not rocket science. That's not difficult to do. 80%. 80%. Now, we don't necessarily need to get there at the algo target. It looks like as this moves, if we move over here, but maybe this could go on for 2 years, right? How about that? So why would you take that off your chart? I would suggest you not, right? So you've got a corner pocket. So understand, here's the caveat, right? So this I try and emphasize this so you're clear on this. As long as this pivot holds, 80% remains. This pivot breaks, different story. As long as that pivot holds, that's 80% odds. 80%. I don't know how I can't say it more emphatically than that, right? So you got to pay attention to those. So if this is 1, 2, well, what's happening here? Well, let's go down to the 4 hour here before I'm, not to get on a rant here, but right, just they're there. So getting that set up, you might have to wait a year to see that. But was it worth it? Okay, so here we go. So can we finish this? Now this had a couple of different difficult spots in it. So this members that were requesting this, I'm guessing this is why. So I'm going to pull that off here just to clear up the chart just for the educational purpose. So here I got a 4 hour. I can barely squeeze it up. I'm gonna may have to do it in an 8. Okay, so can we get a clean count here? Because if the assumption is that we've completed something up here, we've gone 1 2 1 2, which is exactly what you're hoping for if you're entered on the 2. We're not going to go, if we're going to go up to that third, we got to do it in 5. So we need an impulse here to get started. So we got it here. So here's the, right? So here's our entry here. Here's the 5 between the 50 and the 618. So they don't get the 618, but they start it up. So it looks like I can get a clear 1 2 3 4 5. There's my 1. Now look how pretty these are. It's just a nice little lazy 8. Can I hand it to you on a platter? Oh, what else is there? Let's see if we pull from that. Let me get it right on there. All right, so God. Guys, okay, that is literally just, that's a gift trade, right? You can't get any more. A, B, C, ticks the 50. Okay, what happens, right? Boom, right to target. In fact, they get first, they get second, right? If they didn't take, well, I guarantee that's profit taking there, because look what follows. Another crystal clear, beautiful, lazy ABC. ABC. If you can't take that trade, you got to take that trade, right? That's a must-take trade. What? Just the risk reward on that alone, just sitting there, right? So you're here. What do we get? If you just go to the first algo target. Now, if you go into the 65, it's only 4 to 1. Tighten it up. Maybe use this prior pivot 1. 7 to 1, and that's assuming you only get the first algo target. We know for a potential third, that's much higher. Well, it turns out the third we get the second algo target for the third. So what'd you end up with there? 10, 11 to 1. That's a trade. You have to take that trade. Now, this was from the Elliott count, just back to the education. Now, this gets a little tricky in here. You got to make a judgment call. So here, because this is FX, I consider this a judgment call. Now, my partner, Quan, who's an absolute purist, and as I remind you guys, he's the best Elliott trader I know. That's why I asked him to be my partner. So look what happens here. So we can get 5, 1, 2. I can get 5 into this 1. So I go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Well, what's my problem here? Right? If this is my third, I've got to have an impulse. Well, I'm good until I get right here. So I've got a 1, 2. I can get it here. I can get the impulse in this third. So the third. So I need an impulse here. So I have an impulse. Right? I've got the extension in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's clear. Well, where's my problem? Well, if this is 1, 2, 3, I need an impulse in that third. Well, here's your problem spot right here, right where I have this identified as the 4. So you only have 2 choices here, because I think we can be fairly confident now that from that pivot we get a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And it's technical. So from the 2 to the 3, right? 50 to the tick. Jesus, guys, how many times do I have to show this to you? So here we go. So, boom. I can't even get it hot. So this is to the tick to the target, just as this was to the tick to the target, right? If you want to look for algo plays, FX is where to look for them. So to the tick, right? Because it's so algo driven. Boom, target. How do we know it's an algo? Not because of this, because of the reaction at the target. That's how we know. All right, so back to our little problem spot. If this is 1, 2, 3, I'm good on this 3. Well, now I come down to the 4. If this is my 1, look at that. I've got a very tiny overlap. So some will tell you that in FX, where you have additional leverage, that you can allow for a little bit of overlap here. It's kind of a judgment call, because the alternate, I don't like the alternate as much. So you could back up. You could. Now, this is purely educational purposes here, guys, because this is not relevant to what's happening over here. So you could back it up this way, because I considered this. So you could go 1 expanded flat into the B and then down for the C. But it feels a little bit like you're force fitting that. Yeah. Now, to the purist, if this is the 1, right? So my bet would be my partner would count it that way. Right, but I don't want to speak for him. He might come up with something different. But for a purist like he is, he's not going to allow for that overlap. I look at this. I'm not quite that much a purist. I'll allow for that tiny little overlap because I think the rest of the count plays so well. And this also is technical. So if I look here, right into the golden zone. So, right, if you didn't get the first one, there it is again, right? So that's what I think. That's all that's happening there. Is that's a little stop run at the 618. That's the FU that the machines will do, right? So to the new trader who doesn't know, he's going to put his stop just on the other side of the 618. Right? What happens to him? He gets stopped out. So that's the little bend over, please. And then the guy comes in. What time of day is that? Well, you don't know. Next time, guy looks at the chart. What'd you leave on the table? Right? Just you got your tick low. Don't think that I'm telling you I haven't been the tick low or the tick high more times than I'd care to remember. But I'm just that's why you have to use the 65. Right? Because they will run the stop, particularly in FX. They'll run the stops that are just on the other side of the 618. They do it every day. They're going to take you out, and then they're going to run it up. Right? That's why you have to have the stop on the other side of the 65. Right? So looking there, that's my guess as to what happened there. So thus, I allow for that little overlap. Right? So does it matter now? Well, you could make the case that it doesn't. But you're going to run into that. So if you're over on the hard right edge and you're looking at that. Well, you got to make a decision there. All right, it's equally problematic. All right, so again, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is easy because at first glance that looks like 5 down, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but we'd be finishing with a 3. So it looks we've got to trade that as corrective because the 1, 2 that follows looks pretty solid. So you'd have to go oh shit, you probably have to do A, B, C, do it that way and finish with a diagonal. All right, I'm not saying it's easy, but look where we go, golden zone. Likely you've got another set of median lines you could work with there, although it looks like it's too sharp. So if you went from 2 to 3, looks like that's going to be kind of sharp, but... So just, again, I have not worked these out. So just randomly, right? So golden corner pocket. So what do we have? 80% probability. Here, how many times have I shown this here? I'm just here. So here's realized. Here's the algo target. Right here, tagging it again. What happens? We can't get there the next time. Roll over. So I've shown 2 corner pockets, 1 golden corner pocket, and we haven't even gotten to the right edge of the market. All right, so let's carry on here so we don't go too long. I'm already at 22 minutes. Okay, so you get the idea. I guess, why go through that? I'm trying to show you guys how technical FX is here. And I'm still on an 8-hour chart. What do most of you guys do? You go down to the 15-minute and you deal with all of this craziness where it's like you're changing the count 12 times. Stay up here where it's okay, right? So yeah, it's going to be boring. So this took 3 years. Yeah, that's boring, right? But if what's your objective? Are you trading for the excitement or are you trading to make money? If you're trading to make money, 4 hours and above. Now here's the 8-hour. 8-hour, perfectly legit. Can I get the subdivision on an 8-hour? If I can, no reason to go down below that. Well, what's happened up here? 3, 4 looks like I can finish with a 5. So it's not truncated, but we don't get enough distance. So you measure it and you go, is that abnormal? Is that Abby normal? If I take the length of my 1 projected from my 4, oh, it's not crazy, right? So here's the 618 to the 786 window. Is it ideal? No, it's not ideal because you can see right here from the 2 to the 4 in here, you'd have been looking for more, right? So come. Look where the 4 is, right? Right to the 50, but we don't get there. We triple top up here and we get denied. So what do you do with that? Well, if you were here, if you took the entry off of the 50 going for that, I'd like to think at this point, you've at very least tightened your stop. I mean, we're on an 8-hour chart. That's a pretty substantial move there. I'd like to think you tightened your stop. So worst case, well, if you're a member, I know you will have tightened your stop. So worst case, I'd like to think you're just stopped out at a scratch. And you're like, oh, that's too bad, right? Gave back a nice win there. Maybe you had a trailing stop, right? So maybe you got 50% of it. Either way, you didn't get the result that you were anticipating. We get this. What coming down? So can we now look at this and go, well, That's 5 coming down. So it looks like whatever has happened up here has topped. Most likely, this is now complete. 1, 2, 3, 4, shallow 5. Right? We get a new high, but we just don't get the high probability zones where we've been looking up here, 100% the length of the 1. Now, this is technically still internal, so you know, if you're a diehard bull, maybe you try and make a case here that until this pivot breaks, maybe you got another 1, 2. Seems less likely, so you can see that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe this is 1, 2. All right, well, it's a bit of a stretch there. So there's no reason to anticipate anything other than an A wave at this point in time. We potentially completed this 5-wave structure. We've got 5 coming down. No reason to assume anything other than that we have an A wave going in. So the A wave is in. So I get a nice clean 5 coming down. So that helps me identify, okay, likely this is a top of some significance. So what do I have? I've got just an A wave. A's gone in. Well, what am I looking for? It looks like we're right in the middle of doing the B. So where are we looking for the B? So swing high, right? We've completed a 5-wave count. It wouldn't matter. So again, it doesn't matter where we are in the count. I got 5. 5 down, what am I looking for? The 50 to the 618. Could that be the B? Well, yeah, maybe, but if we just look here, we don't really have a nice 3-wave subdivision, so you would anticipate that likely that's the A of the B. Maybe we do something like that. That wouldn't be unusual. We come down here, maybe we've got second target. Maybe this has got more legs in that C. So you look at that and say, oh, well, if it came down here, where would that put us in the broader count? Because we're playing off the idea that this is a 2 and this is the 1 of the 3. Well, if that's the case, where are we going? Where would we be? Well, you can just eyeball it, right? You can see where I'm going with this. So if this is if this is a completed 5-wave structure, just like this is a completed 5-wave structure, what are we looking for? We're looking for the 50 to the 618. Well, here's the 50, here's the 618. Right? We don't know what this is going to do, but these are reasonable targets. 50 to the 618, maybe we're going second algo target to get the golden zone. That would be a nice 1, 2. Well, this 2 went beyond the 50. Right? Certainly could do the same thing. Now it'll help once we get that B, then we can put some median lines on it. So I don't know where that B is, but something like this. Now we have a target. Now we have some market geometry to use. When does that put that? That's May of 2019, right? Based on that structure. Now note, I do not know where that B is, right? Could be here, could be here. I don't know where it is. I'm just laying that out going, there's a possible roadmap that would make sense. 1, 2, 1, 2. No reason to assume anything else until this count is invalidated. Maybe this is 1, 2 of the 5th. If this has another leg, if there's another big leg here in this for a bigger 5 up here, well, we at least we want to identify, okay, I know that's a possibility. So this count as I have it now could be invalidated if this starts to go up here. You still put median lines on it. But right now, no reason to assume anything other than standard ops, A, B, C. Why? Why would you assume anything else? There's nothing here other than the short 5 that might make you a little bit suspect. So you'll get clarity on that when we take out this pivot. If this comes down, because then it can't be 1, 2. We can't have the 2 overlap the start of the 1. If you were holding on to the idea that this was 1, 2 of a bigger 5th and we were going to get the extension in the 5th, or perhaps 1, 2, 3, maybe we have the count wrong here and this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'd invalidate here if you took out this 1. Well, I guess maybe we wouldn't, because we could still have a leading diagonal. But the subdivision all supports impulse, so that's a bit of a stretch. You'd have to redo the whole thing. I think that's less likely. We want to stay with the probable, not what's possible, because anything's possible. Nothing says we have to do this. That's the more probable path. Right, so I would tee this up. So I would want to be alerted if we break that pivot, because then I know that eliminates one possible scenario for me. If this breaks, I can't have a 1, 2. Then I lean more heavily into the idea that 5 is done and I've got the 1 in of the 3rd. So I'd want to know about that break. I'd want, you know, again, it's a question of how many charts are you watching a day, right? So I'd want to know about a break of that. Not that we could have, the B could go beyond this, but since we've had 5 down, less likely to see an expanded flat. We'd be looking for a 335. Since right now, no reason to anticipate anything other than just a straightforward zigzag. I got 5 in. Why would I assume anything else? No reason to. All right, so got some pivots here we can work with here. Got to pay attention to these. So far, this one all solid. A, B, C. Where's the next trade? Well, there's the opportunity to trade the B for the simple reason that I've got a potential top here and I've got 5 coming down. So there is absolutely a short sale here. So if you're going short, you do the 618 to the 786, right? You kind of have to see. We don't have enough data to really make that trade just yet. But there's setting up. If you're just going first algo target, if you're going to get the 50, there's almost 4 to 1. You're going to get the golden zone and the second target, there's 5.3 to 1. Nothing wrong with those, right? A perfectly good looking trade. Now, when you come down here, if this is 1, 2 of the third, if this is 1 and we're going 2, that's the trade you're waiting for. That's worth waiting. So what if that hits middle of the summer of 2019? I know I'll be watching for it. I don't have to come back and look at this 8-hour chart 4 times a day. I just a few alerts, right? Oh, got to go back and check the Euro Aussie. Great, just had an alert go off. What's happening? You don't have to watch an 8-hour chart every day. All right, guys, I'm kind of rambling here. All right, so that's 31. I'm going to wrap there because I didn't mean to go that long. Okay, so I think we've got 2 more we're going to try and do. So I'll wrap there. As always, guys, you know how to reach us. Links underneath this video. You can find us on Twitter. We've got a 3-day trial now that you can work with. We've got a free Discord. A lot of ways to get involved with what we're doing. All right, okay, guys, I'll be back to you.